calls me from out of the pit.
I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
I'm Mike.
And this is It Came from Saturday Night. Okay, so tonight we're going to be discussing the
Cinematic masterpiece.
starring not Troy McClure, but Doug McClure and the master from Doctor Who, The Land That Time Forgot. And of course, we watch this on Spenguli like we do every Saturday night.
This could have been the end. The end of just another tragic episode in war at sea. But for the few survivors of a torpedoed merchant ship and the crew of a German U-boat lost in the frozen South Atlantic, it was the beginning of an incredible adventure. American International presents The Land That Time Forgot. Fight for your life against the terrifying creatures of a lost continent. Come face to face with primitive man and learn the secret of evolution. The Land That Time Forgot.
Mr. Taylor!
Starring Doug McClure. It's action, danger, and adventure on an epic scale.
How much longer do we give them?
We're not leaving without them! Forget Skipper! What's your name, please?
You will never forget Edgar Rice Burroughs' The Land That Time Forgot.
I think it's interesting. Spenguli was mentioning that the director did not want to do stop motion animation because he thought it looked too jerky and unnatural. Yet we have unmoving pterodactyls that don't move
And the big
being
dinosaur.
swung across the.
I think that was his excuse.
Yes.
The reason was cheapness.
Well, clearly, because it's amazing that 2 years later, the De Laurentiis King Kong came out.
Yes.
And so, but I think this movie barely had $1 million budget.
Yeah, it was a British production, so it didn't have that American money behind it.
But all I kept thinking was Land of the Lost while I was watching it. So the dinosaur quality was about Land of the Lost quality. So
just no flea stacks.
I think that might have made it a better movie had there been flea stacks in it.
Yeah. No, I actually do. I enjoy this movie. I've seen it probably 11 times. I think like Doug McClure is like barely a leading man in this movie, and it's interesting that they originally wanted Stuart Whitman, who was like a million times the actor that Doug McClure is, and it would have been interesting to see how that played out. Doug McClure to me is basically if like margarine had sideburns.
Yeah,
he's got that much presence.
Well, and he's American in the movie, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, why would a British film company have to have an American lead?
And why him though?
Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Are we missing something?
Yeah.
It's not just the actor; it's his character.
Yeah.
He just seemed like a dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is too is like the Germans in this movie are way more interesting than he is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The caveman Walu or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's Swedish.
Swedish. I was gonna make a take on me joke.
Yeah, that as well.
But
that's what he probably said to McClure when he first came upon him and fought him.
Yeah. But they're infinitely more interesting than he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to do in the book, it was like, but even in the book, the Germans are more interesting than he is. But I still love it because it's a dinosaur movie. And if Glenn were here, he would attest to it that if there was a dinosaur in the movie, we watched it, good or bad.
Yeah.
So this is one of those movies that I've been watching it since I was a little kid. So I put on my kid glasses when I watch it because it's just fun escapism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's got as you pointed out, it's got the classic, all the elements of other movies just like it. So I mean, it's
Right.
it's just, um, and even to this day, I mean, you get even though it was only 2 years later, King Kong was about getting oil off the island.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so and there's bad guys and good guys on the ship competing with each other, and the greed leads to everything. So it's a common theme
Hmm.
through a lot of
Right.
these movies.
Yeah.
With these monster movies, or I'm sorry, these dinosaur movies.
You're right. And and the ticking time bomb that is the volcano that
Mhm.
inevitably explodes
Yes,
Right.
on these
yes,
is tantamount to like the we gotta keep these beaches open. You know.
Yeah.
yeah. Isn't it a volcano that kills Rodan?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
that seems to be also an ongoing theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Son of Kong, the whole island sinks.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Terrible.
Lost World is always destroyed.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and to me, it had. I mean, I even noticed some of the costuming. The higher up, because they had the ever escalating
Yeah.
levels of sophisticated caveman. I
Mhm.
mean, they really look like the cavemen that would later be the outfits that were later used in Ringo Starr's
Yeah.
movie. I mean, it was pretty
Yes.
sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it even had like looked like the fake ermine fur on it.
Yeah.
Very fancy.
Yeah. I'll talk about the master dude if you got.
Oh, sure, yeah. So I mean, interesting. He clearly was always a villain in everything he was ever in.
Mhm.
Odd to watch him without the goatee, without the twirling goatee of the master.
Mhm.
I mean, he's not considered. He's the longest running
Yeah.
master, but I mean, he's no Roger Delgado, and so he suffered from comparisons to Delgado,
Mhm.
who made the role, but was cut short in a car accident, I believe.
What was it? 9 years?
9 years he ran, yeah.
Hmm.
And so, and he was much more the twirling mustache kind of master,
Yeah.
than the other ones.
Yeah.
So, but I thought he was way more interesting as a character in this movie
Yeah.
than
Mhm.
McClure was, and
Yeah.
so at least he had motivations and
Mhm. And he's clearly a
some
bad
logic,
guy.
yeah. But still, but why? Why? He was just wanting to get off the island. pretty
Yeah.
much.
Mhm.
And he had that, but he has that great German chin thing.
Yes,
That
yes.
is just perfect for that role.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, overall, it was something I hadn't seen. If I saw it as a kid, I don't really remember it. I mix all those movies together,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so it was nice to see something different on Svengoolie.
Yeah, I did see it as a kid. I don't know. I remember like certain scenes,
Hmm.
like the
Mhm.
pterodactyl grabbing the caveman.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I know I had seen it, but I didn't remember much about it.
I think as a kid, if I did see it, my memory is I paid more attention. I might have been playing with something on the floor during the whole first half of the
Mhm.
movie
Yeah.
till they got to the island. Then
Yeah.
I might have perked up an interest.
Just like we're doing today.
Yeah, yes. It's like today. Yes, we weren't interested.
Yeah. We were wrapping up a game session
Yeah.
during the boring submarine
Yeah.
section,
Mhm.
Yes.
which is again, it's more entertaining in the book,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, so yeah, that's probably and it's like watching the Godzilla movies when we were kids.
Yeah.
We wait for the Godzilla parts and then we perk up. In the meantime, we're playing with Star Wars toys or whatever on the floor.
Right. It's that kind. Yeah, and which typically even in those movies it takes forever for Godzilla to show.
Yeah, yeah,
So at least this one, the monsters came relatively, or the dinosaurs came relatively quickly.
yeah, yeah.
So no, I mean it's a classic story. So but
Mhm.
not bad. I mean for $1 million budget back in '74 money,
Hmm.
not bad.
Yeah.
So what can you do?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good.
I do have to say though, I
Yeah.
have to give major props to the costuming department who provided all of the lowest civilized cavemen with faux back hair. And so,
Yeah.
and each with its own design and pattern.
Yeah.
And so they each had their own pattern of back hair,
Yeah, there was
which
a
I
lot.
thought, which I thought was very interesting.
I hope it was fake back.
One would hope, yes, one would. Well, maybe, I mean, could have got. I mean, you bring back the caveman job
Yeah.
for men with back hair.
Mhm.
And so,
You're going in there. You're sitting in the room. For the auditions,
Yeah.
and everybody's got their shirts off. And they're just like, I don't have that much. There's no way I'm getting this part. I'm just going home.
yes, yeah.
But what are some other movies that are similar to this? I think the other dinosaur. We were talking about the one with Raquel Welch.
Oh
What
yeah,
was that one called? 1
Something-
million BC.
1 million BC.
or
Yeah.
something like that.
yeah.
And that's, that one I have a lot more memories of. Probably
Yeah.
imprinted from the Raquel Welch.
Because-
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, that one, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, even up to today. I mean, let's face it, the whole, the legendary Godzilla movies
hmm
are akin to that with the king, having the world underneath our
Yeah.
world, the inner world. So I
Right.
mean, they're still doing that story.
Mhm.
Not sure if that world's been destroyed yet. Haven't
haven't-
watched the new one yet.
At
So
the time of this recording, we
Yeah.
have not seen it yet.
correct.
Hmm.
But that's a classic. Reminds me of the Warlord comic. I mean,
Mhm.
all those. I mean, I'm sure everyone who made these movies has to be indebted to Burroughs. I mean,
Yeah.
he set the template.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually years ago met Mike Grell. I had him. I had the original. The very first comic I ever bought was the Warlord comic,
Mhm.
the first one and first issue special. I think what that series was called. And I took it in to have him sign it, and he's signing it. And I said, yeah, that's the very first comic I ever bought. And he like looks up like, you look old enough. Like I wasn't feeding him a line of shit or anything.
Right.
You look old enough. But yeah, he freely borrowed so much from right down to the look of the dinosaurs
Mhm.
in these movies.
Be interesting to remake this, to take the Burroughs novel
hmm
and remake it, even if it were set in the same time period. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
If you really could throw a lot of money at it.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you'd get rid of the McClure character. And so,
Problem with throwing real money at these movies is it loses that rubber dinosaur,
true.
and the rubber dinosaur is half the charm of the movie.
Yeah.
We now know with all our science that dinosaurs didn't even remotely close to this.
Mhm.
So what do you want?
Which would have disappointed my 8-year-old self.
Yeah. Like, we want Doug McClure being chased around. Well, I mean, I want Doug McClure to be chased around by a giant chicken,
Yes.
but do we really want that in a movie?
Yeah. They're too cuddly. Dinosaurs are too cuddly looking
Mhm.
with all their feathers and softness.
Yeah.
And
Still, that's a funny thing. People that get mad about the feathered dinosaur idea,
Mhm.
as if like a 40-ton chicken running at you wouldn't be terrifying. You're still going to be scared of it, whether it's a chicken or a dinosaur.
Correct.
I am afraid
Well-
of a regular chicken running at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would think of like a cockatrice too. They're kind of
Mhm.
nasty looking
Yeah,
in
yeah.
mythology. So
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to do. I don't know. I'd go see that. I'd go see a Land That Time Forgot with a lot of money in it.
What was the movie where the animals were all growing and there's a giant chicken inside of a barn or something?
Food of the Gods?
Food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta
That's
see
a
that
great
one.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Food of the Gods is great.
Mm.
So on to the Sven bits. This looked like pretty much except for the Sven vault at the end, was a pretty new episode.
Yeah, to me, I don't.
Hmm.
don't remember ever watching this movie on Sven to begin
No.
with, let alone in the newer studios and stuff. But it all seemed pretty new to me.
Yeah, and good timing wise. I mean, the movie was a really good length that we got. This is what I like seeing. We get a lot of movie, but we also get. I mean, it was enough bits
Mhm.
without any filler, and so
Yeah,
I really like the bits. I think were really done well this week.
Sometimes when the movies are bigger
Mhm.
or longer, he doesn't have enough time to squeeze in as much of his stuff. So he's not going back into the vault so much
Correct.
and pulling out,
Well, I just like the fact that they had a Sven Squad bit,
Mhm.
which I thought was pretty funny.
Mhm.
Uh, I think they're getting better and better each week.
Mhm.
Um, he had a song as
Yeah.
always with Anita Exorcist joining,
Yeah.
and so that was funny. That was great. Did a couple commercials which I thought were funny.
Mhm.
The Geico one not as much, but I would have come up with a better name for it than what he came up with for it. But
The Psycho.
Psycho, yeah, it just
yeah.
didn't fit the movie.
Yeah.
And you had his talking coffin.
Yeah, the talking coffee. Yeah,
Right.
that was funny. Yeah, that was
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had his dinosaur thesaurus.
Yes.
Right,
Yes,
right.
that was
What's his name again? The kid?
Body Sorrel.
Bobby Sorrell.
Body Sorrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the thesaurus part was pretty funny.
Mhm.
I mean, and funny as far as like puns, and I'm a big fan of puns.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. I've said this before. I place my corny sense of humor
Mhm.
squarely on his shoulders.
Yeah.
In the male segment, I know we talk about the male segment a lot,
Yeah.
and it's nice. It was nice to see, that again. And on the subject of the male segment, um, so today, Amy and I are garage sailing because we're that age. That's what we do. We wait till they're all, till everybody's having a garage sale, then we set sail, hoist our flags and set sail. Well, we're here in town at one of the more local ones, and I'm walking around. There's this old dude. He goes like, "Hey, cool Svengoolie shirt." I'm like, "Oh," because I had this shirt on.
Mm.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." He goes, my about a year ago, my wife and I were out at the Grand Canyon, and we had our Sven shirts on, and just a couple months ago, we ended up on his show."
Oh, wow.
And he whips out his phone and he showed me, and Amy, who doesn't necessarily watch Sven because I'm here on Saturday nights and not at home, um, she goes, "Oh my God, I seen that." Well, what had happened was, um, when I was in the hospital over the winter, and came home and was just too tired to come over here that Saturday.
Mhm.
So she humors me, so she's watching it with me, and that was the episode that this
Oh,
guy,
wow.
here's him and his wife, like standing there by the Grand Canyon, and we talked about it, and he's like, "Do you watch it?" I said, "Yeah, we watch it. I watch it every Saturday." So then me and my buddies, we make a video about it afterwards. And so he gets up and he leaves the room, and like we're leaving, and as I'm walking out the door, this old lady comes walking up, and she's like, "But you're the Swingoolie guy." It was his wife.
Yeah.
That's great.
But it's that kind of thing. Well, we talked about like making the male segments bigger, maybe to see
Mhm.
more of the stuff that he has. And they didn't have the Sven Squad where people send in their videos.
No.
But the thing is like that segment we talked about how that segment um makes people lifelong fans.
Mhm.
Well, this dude and his wife, man, they're in for the rest of their lives,
Oh, yeah.
and that's what it's all about, and that's one of the best parts of that show
Mhm.
for me is just his awareness that if it weren't for his fans, he wouldn't have a career.
Right.
Right.
So he seems super genuine about it.
And that's what I just wish if there's a half an hour left,
Mm-hmm.
go into the vaults for 5-10 minutes, but then do a really long segment. But even if he has to bring back Doug sitting in with him on the letters,
Right,
maybe,
right.
or he doesn't want to do all that talking for 20 minutes, have the Sven Squad sit in with him,
Mm-hmm.
and split up the time so they each get 5 or 10 minutes to talk about stuff that was sent in.
Mm-hmm.
That I think would be way more interesting than a lot of the filler stuff. So and again would bring in more. The more that they could show people's stuff on air. I mean, we had my fiance and I, Diana, we were thrilled because one of our people that we got to know on one of the Svengoolie Facebooks sent in little miniature coffins and got it on there.
Yeah.
And so was all excited that so somebody local got on there. So it's just interesting.
And my oldest is a lifer because the drawing she did of his original costume, his original coffin ended up on the website, and she was tickled pink about it.
Yeah.
it was just funny that like in that episode he was referring to this couple from Northwest Indiana, but it was like right next door Indiana.
Right.
It's kind of funny.
To me, it really flowed well this week. I mean, it was
Mhm.
just the movie flowed, the bits
Yeah.
flowed. It just seemed like there was enough stuff to
Yeah.
fill. I mean, because he barely got in the joke at the door at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, so there was only a few minutes left by
Yeah.
the time everything was done, and so
Yeah, this you could probably call this one like a perfect episode.
correct.
Because it has everything you wanted. It moved very fast.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of the old days.
Mhm.
The pacing of the movie itself, made the time
Kinda helped
fly
out.
because I kept looking up at the clock every once in a while. I'm like, wow, time is, it's
Mhm.
getting about time for the dinosaurs to show up.
Mhm.
Dinosaurs show up. Getting about time for the volcano. Oh, volcano
Yeah.
explodes.
Yeah.
I
And having the commercial, I love when he does his commercials. I wish they
Yeah.
would do more
Yeah.
commercials. His
Mm.
commercials are hilarious.
They always have been.
Yeah. And so if get the Sven Squad to make those if you
Yeah.
have to, that they were, like I said, they're coming into their own. So
Yeah.
they're getting funnier.
I would like to see like some behind the scenes, like just a day in the life kind of a thing of like
Mhm.
on the set for the day, just to kind of see how they set up the squad
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff. Just it would be interesting to see because I think a lot of people don't understand how these things work, and it would be fun to see like just behind the scenes stuff back in the day when we had DVDs and they would put all this stuff, all this extra bonus footage and stuff on there. That it was always fun to see that, and it'd be
Mhm.
fun to see,
Mm.
all
Like the
that.
last episode of Son of Svengoolie when he got canceled and they showed behind the scenes
Right.
of how they record the shows and everything, and then at the end they just kick him out the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That was a good
That's
Yeah.
classic. Yeah.
that one's on YouTube if you ever want to see it.
Mhm.
It's in its entirety. It's on YouTube.
Cool. I think last week we had the not so great,
Oh,
and
yeah.
this week we now had how good it could be each
Yeah.
time.
And that's the thing. Like okay, next week we got we got House of Frankenstein. Not House. That is that what it's called?
Yeah,
House
House
of
of Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I confused with the. I'm sure there's a Hammer movie called The House of Frankenstein. I don't know, but no,
There's also House of Dracula.
House of
like
Dracula.
Universal movie, and
Yeah,
House
but
on Haunted Hill.
so I don't know so much how that one's gonna flow. Whether it's gonna be a hodgepodge, but it'll be interesting to see.
I like that movie a lot. That's one of my favorite.
Oh, the movie itself is a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
but we'll have to see. We'll have
Yeah.
to because that I'm
Those
assuming.
are short movies.
Yeah, they are short, and there'll be a lot of old bits because that is one that he's run.
Right.
Instead of
past.
instead of no personal checks, can it just be like no pinky in the brain?
Right. No pinky in the brain.
Maybe
No.
we'll make that our at
Yes.
the end of our episode.
Right.
No pinky in the brain.
Yes.
Anyway,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I wouldn't do that to him.
They're just
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I'm assuming he went to C2E2 recently, so
Mhm.
I'm hoping there'll be some 2024.
Yeah.
mhm.
I don't know about any horror conventions that he might have been to recently.
Yeah.
But I know for sure he was at C2E2.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll get some footage from that.
Yeah.
It would be interesting
Which-
to see.
Which won't surface for 6 months.
Correct.
But
Right.
still it'll be next season, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's how TV works, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, I think he was stuck. You figure, 2020, 2021, and maybe even 2022,
Mhm.
he might not have had anywhere he could go.
Well,
And so that's why everything's 2019. That's why we keep getting the
Yeah.
2019, because
Yeah.
that's when the circuit was running
Right.
strong,
Mhm.
and then everything got thrown off.
Well, yeah, and Rich Coase has had at least one, possibly two heart attacks. So he was way up there in the risk factor when
Yes.
COVID was at its peak.
Mhm.
So even when shows were opening up, I'm sure he wasn't going to them because for the same reason I'm not.
Yeah.
I can wait a little while longer yet.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe they'll be gearing up for should be his 45th anniversary coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the 40th a while ago, and that was a huge. I mean, he did a lot of
Yeah.
stuff for the 40th.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see
Isn't it in June? Like, isn't that like
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he wasn't on the air too long before some friends of mine told me about him and I started watching him.
Mhm.
I think it's in June this year
Yeah,
that it turns like 40. He's 45 years.
yeah. So I'm hoping that'll be something they do a lot of stuff for.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's come to that part of the show where I ask my co-hosts, if Sven would show a movie that you'd want to see, what movie would you want to see?
I would like to see show Food of the Gods.
Yeah.
The one I was talking about with the giant chicken.
The giant chicken and the big rats. Yeah. That's a fun movie.
I want to see. I can't. It's got a couple different titles. It's one of the Godzilla movies, where the two little kids go to the other planet, just so that I can make fun of my middle brother, who was frightened of that movie when he. Which one is that? Is that?
Or is that Gamma?
Oh, it's a Gamera movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd love to see some Gamma.
I would love to see some Gamera. Yeah, and they've done a lot of Gamera's got. Just like Toho has the different eras for Godzilla, there's a '90s Gamera that I wouldn't mind seeing. On
those are good.
Those are good. Yeah,
3 or 4 movies.
3 or 4 of them. Yeah. So I would a good old Gamera movie would be good.
Mm-hmm. But specifically, the one with the
shaving of the head. Yes, the shaving of the heads one would be good. With the giant kitchen knife looking monster.
But you gotta show the bloody version. There's 2 versions of that. One, I mean, they go all out with the blood in that in the unedited version. It's
all he has to do is put a warning on it for sensitive viewers, and let's show the bloody version. That's my vote, Gamera.
Well, I have to go with the 1977 E.G. Tsuburaya Rankin and Bass collaboration classic that is the Richard Boone vehicle, The Last Dinosaur. That is my all-time favorite dinosaur movie, and it's so bad, but I friggin' love it. I can't even go into why I love this movie so much. It's one of those movies like how I talked about earlier. I watch these movies like I watched them when I was a kid. That one like literally makes me 10 years old again. I love it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. Well then, just like at the beginning, I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Mike.
And this has been It Came from Saturday Night. So stupid.
Oh, man.